This is Am I Rich? And I'm Keith. Today we're going to talk about another cheap stock, Ford. Ford is ticker symbol F. Now if you haven't heard of Ford, I don't know where you live, but anyways, Ford is a automotive company. They make cars for many uses and trucks for utility. So I think most people know what Ford is if you know anything about the auto industry, which most people do. They're sold worldwide. Fairly prevalent company. If you look around the world, I think most countries have some Ford cars selling there. So we won't go too much into that. I'm talking about this stock because I think it's cheap at the moment, but I just wanted to kind of hash out my thoughts and leave it at that. So first of all, the stock is trading around $8.40, I think right now, they're recording this video. 44 cents, something like that. Anyways, it gives a forward, currently they're estimating a forward PE ratio of about 6.4. Its price to book ratio is about 1.0, which technically if you can buy a company for the price of its assets, it's hard to imagine it would go down from that price. So that's kind of a good indicator in that way, because you could, I mean, you can't actually sell all our assets and just get the exact amount and distribute it among all the shareholders, but in theory when you get to one, it becomes a lot more attractive. So that's one reason it's attractive. The other one is its dividend rate right now. I think it was just a little earlier, it was over 7, but right now it's like 6.8% about, which is very good. Most stocks don't have that kind of return, and if you can guarantee yourself 6.8% on your money, maybe this, you know, if you're in retirement, it might be a really good stock. Currently, the last 5 years, it's been growing at about 8.4%, which is slower than, you know, a lot of banks, and it's okay, but it's not really meeting the average market. So it's one of those things that you might be worried about. But let's talk about the potentials of growth. I kind of see Ford potentially doing better than its historical growth, because if you just listen to its conference calls, I think last week, what they talked about was they realized that they were struggling in the models they're providing customers, and so people weren't attracted to a lot of their models of vehicles they're putting out there. So they've focused a lot of energy, and in the next 2 years they're going to revamp a lot of, or maybe most of, Ford's lineup. And so I don't know if Ford's going to come out with something like the next Tesla or something really exotic like that, but if it does, it probably have a really good shot of success. But if it comes out with, like, I don't know, the new Ford Taurus that looks the same as the old or something, then you can kind of see Ford as a company that could go negative, or start losing money, I guess. If not losing money, anyways, do significantly worse than it is. So that kind of leads into the bull thesis on this stock. So currently, because it's trading around book value and a very low PE or forward PE both, you think if you buy now, if it continues to grow, then it should be a pretty good investment long term. I mean, you're probably gonna get at least similar growth, 8, maybe 9% growth, and plus if you buy now, you're having like a 6 to 7% dividend. So, you know, combine those together and you're getting a pretty good return on your money. So in that way, I kind of see it as a cheap buy, and it has a little bit of a moat because some people really love Fords. It is fairly popular for trucks, especially in North America. I think it's usually sells the most pickup trucks, although I think Dodge is competing pretty closely in that space right now. And the other thesis, I guess, the other advantage is if they do succeed with their models that are coming out, if they do succeed in revamping some of their China structure and a few other of their projects that they have on the go, including they want to be one of the top 3 self-driving car companies in the future. They have partnerships that they've planned, I think, with Walmart and a few other big companies to basically do things like food or home deliveries of the autonomous vehicles. So they do have the works. They put the groundwork in, I think, and they're trying to make a go at it, which really does add to the potential of Ford doing well. So if you're long term thinking, in the next 5 to 20 years, you think Ford can pull these things off, I see it as a really compelling time to buy. Now, the worst case scenario is something like they come out with dud products and they start to lose money, and then it could be a stock market or a market crash or an economic slowdown, and that also hurts them. And then you might see something else along the lines of maybe some of their goodwill that they have is written off, and then their price to book ratio, it could fall. I can see the price falling by up to 25%, which that is probably something really unrealistic, but in the really worst case scenario, I suppose that could happen, and that's something you probably would want to watch out for. They're going to have earnings this week, so it'll be interesting to see. They already talked about they've reduced their earnings, but they're going to, you can get to see a little bit more details, something like what kind of equity they've grown, or if they're plan on restructuring anything else. Yeah, so is this company a buy for me? Well, I do own a little bit. I bought a long time ago. I bought some Ford, and pays a decent dividend, so it's good that way. I think it's probably a little bit on the low side for its valuation. Generally, the automotive stocks are getting hammered a lot because of things like Tesla. And people just don't see like these big automotive companies stepping into the game yet. So we'll have to see how that works out. So it is a bit of a gamble. I think it's kind of a hold for me. I don't know that I would really consider buying more, but I think if you're looking for a good dividend, if you believe the company can pull off autonomous driving or maybe good electric cars, then it's got a great dividend. It's a really good price to buy in. So I think there's downside, but minimal downside. So I would say it's an okay buy. Anyways, I'd like to know what you think. Thanks for watching. If you think Ford is like the worst car company out there, or if you think now's the time to buy the stock because it's really about to ramp up, I'd love to hear what you have to say. So feel free to write a comment if you want. And yeah, well, hopefully we'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.